phone rang late, the kind of late where your brain is already half asleep and you almost ignore it. I remember staring at the screen for a second, burrito going cold on the table, some random show playing on the TV that I was not even watching. When I saw Sophie's name, my first thought was not panic. It was hesitation. I almost let it ring out. Sophie and I had been friends for years. Real friends. College orientation friends. Late-night coffee friends. The kind of friends who knew each other's bad habits and worst decisions. She used to call me when she was bored, when she was drunk, when some guy disappointed her again. I was used to being that guy for her. The safe one. The listener. But when I answered, I did not hear her usual voice. I heard crying, not sniffles, not dramatic sobbing. This was deep, broken crying, the kind that sounds like something inside someone is collapsing. She tried to speak, but nothing came out at first. Just breath and tears. My heart jumped into my throat. I sat up straight on the couch and said her name, asking what was wrong, asking if she was okay, asking too many questions at once. She did not answer any of them. After a few seconds, she finally spoke, her voice small and shaking. "Please, can you come over?" That was all she said. No explanation, no details. I did not ask questions. I told her I was coming and hung up. I threw on a hoodie, grabbed my keys, and ran out of my apartment. My scooter was parked outside, still warm from my earlier delivery shift. I did not care about the cold air or the empty streets. I just rode. I lived just outside Portland in a small one-bedroom apartment that barely held my life together. Peeling paint in the bathroom, a fridge that hummed too loud, a couch I bought secondhand online. It was not much, but it was mine. I had moved out of my parents' place a year earlier, trying to figure out adulthood one paycheck at a time. I did deliveries for a local courier service. Packages, groceries, whatever paid. Life was simple, and I liked it that way. 15 minutes later, I pulled up to Sophie's place. Only the porch light was on. Everything else was dark. I knocked softly, not knowing what I was about to walk into. The door opened slowly. She stood there in an oversized hoodie, her hair messy, her face red and swollen. Her eyes looked like she had been crying for hours. She did not move. She did not speak. She just stared at me like she was trying to remember who I was. Then she whispered it. "I have no one else." Those 4 words hit me harder than anything I had ever heard. I did not reply. I stepped forward and hugged her, tight, instinctive, like my body moved before my brain could catch up. She broke down completely in my arms. Her hands grabbed the back of my hoodie, clutching it like I might disappear if she let go. I closed the door behind us and just held her. I did not ask what happened. Not yet. Whatever this was, she needed to fall apart first. Her crying shook her whole body. I could feel it in my chest. I stayed quiet and let her cry until her breathing slowed and her legs went weak. I guided her to the couch and helped her sit down. She curled up, pulling her knees close like a kid trying to feel small. I grabbed a blanket and wrapped it around her shoulders. She stared straight ahead, silent now, exhausted, her hands trembling in her lap. I sat beside her, close enough that she knew I was there. After a while, I spoke softly and asked her what happened. She tried to answer, but her voice barely worked. She took a breath and said, "My parents." She stopped there for a second, like saying the words out loud made them real. Then she told me about the accident. A drunk driver. A red light. Both of them gone instantly. I felt something drop in my chest. I did not know her parents well. They lived near Spokane, but I had heard about them for years. Her mom's care packages, her dad calling her kiddo. They were always part of her stories. And now they were just gone. She looked at me, and her eyes were empty in a way that scared me. "I don't know what to do," she said. I didn't even listen to the voicemail right away. I just sat there. Quote, I took her hand and told her I was sorry. The words felt small, but they were all I had. She squeezed my hand and said something that stayed with me. I was going to call someone else, but then I realized, you're the only person I want right now. We sat there for a long time after that. No talking. Just silence, and the sound of the fridge humming in the background. Eventually, she asked if I could stay the night. Not in a strange way, just because she did not want to be alone. Of course I said yes. That night, I slept on the floor beside the couch. I barely slept at all. I listened to her breathing, to her shifting in the dark, ready in case she needed anything. That was the night everything changed. Even though neither of us knew it yet, morning came quietly. No alarms, no rush, just the pale gray light slipping in through the blinds. I was already awake. I had not really slept, just drifted in and out, listening. Sophie was still on the couch, wrapped in the blanket, curled toward the back like she was trying to disappear into it. I stood up slowly so I would not wake her, and went into the kitchen. Her place smelled cold and unused, like no one had moved around in it for days. I made coffee, the strong kind she liked, and toasted some bread. When I brought it over, she was sitting up, her hair tangled, her eyes tired and distant. She barely touched the food. She took a shower while I cleaned up a little. Nothing major, just folding laundry that had been sitting in a basket, turning on a couple lights, opening the curtains. I did not want her sitting in the dark. When she came out, she looked smaller somehow, like the weight of everything was pressing her down. You don't have to stay, she said quietly. I know, I told her, but I want to. She nodded and did not argue. The next few hours blurred together. Phone calls, long pauses, her sitting on the edge of the bed staring at her hands, me helping her write things down so she would not forget. Flight details, names, times. She said she wanted to go back alone, said she needed to do this part by herself. I did not try to stop her. I just told her I would be here when she got back. When she left, she hugged me at the door, harder than she ever had before. No words. Just a long, quiet hold, and then she was gone. The days after that felt off. My apartment felt colder. Food tasted bland. Work felt pointless. I kept my phone close at all times, jumping every time it buzzed. She texted once when she landed, then again 2 days later. Funeral tomorrow. That was it. I tried to distract myself, took extra delivery shifts, rode my scooter longer routes. Nothing worked. I kept thinking about her standing alone, having to face everything without her parents. I hated how helpless it made me feel. 5 days later, she came back. She did not tell me she was coming. She just showed up at my apartment one evening, still wearing her funeral dress, a duffel bag over her shoulder. Her face looked tired in a way sleep could not fix. I didn't want to be home, she said. I just wanted to see you. I let her in without saying much. She dropped her bag by the door and curled up on the couch with the same blanket as before. I sat next to her and turned on the TV, not because we cared what was on, but because silence felt too heavy. She fell asleep leaning against my shoulder. I stayed still until my arm went numb. From that point on, I made it my routine to show up, not in a dramatic way, just steady, coffee runs, groceries. Sitting with her when she did not feel like talking. I stopped working weekends without telling her. Money could wait. She needed time more than I needed cash. She was different now, quieter, softer. She did not joke much. She ate slowly, if at all. I did not push her to be okay. I just stayed. One day, I brought her a bag of mini donuts she used to love in college. She looked at them for a second, then smiled, a small smile. Tired, but real. That smile carried me for days. We started spending weekends together, walks around the neighborhood, sitting on the floor sorting through photos she brought back from her parents' house, old letters from her mom, notes written in neat handwriting for birthdays and holidays. She read them with red eyes while I sat beside her, quiet. That afternoon she leaned her head on my shoulder. It was small, but it felt like something opening. Slowly she began to come back, not all at once, in pieces. She started texting me again. Random thoughts, photos of her cat, questions about cereal brands. We went on late-night grocery runs, pushing a cart half full of things she did not need, just to feel normal. One night, sitting on the curb outside my building with ice cream melting in our hands, I told her she was getting better. She looked up at the sky and said she still felt underwater most days. I told her she was swimming now. She laughed, a quiet, surprised laugh. I told myself I was just being a friend, that the old feelings were gone, buried. I was not doing any of this to win her over. I just wanted her to be okay. But sometimes, the way she looked at me made me wonder if she saw something different now. And I did not know if I was ready for that. We did not talk about what we were. We just existed together. It felt easier that way. Less pressure. Less fear of breaking something fragile. We started spending more nights together, not sleeping in the same bed at first, just sharing space. Movies playing in the background. Takeout boxes on the coffee table. Long silences that did not feel awkward. She would fall asleep on the couch, her head on my shoulder, and I would stay still, afraid that even moving would ruin the moment. She started teasing me again, about my cooking, about my cheap couch, about how I used too much garlic and everything. It felt like hearing her old voice again, only softer. One night I invited her to a drive-in movie downtown. She hesitated. Crowds still made her nervous. But after a moment, she said yes. We sat in my car with the windows down, popcorn between us. Halfway through the movie, she reached over and took my hoodie without asking. She had done that 100 times in college, but this time it felt different. Closer. Warmer. I still told myself not to read into it. Then one evening I showed up at her place with takeout, and she was already waiting outside. Her hair was done. Light makeup. A dress I had not seen her wear in years. Big plans tonight? I joked. With you, she said, smiling. We sat on her balcony eating noodles from cardboard boxes, laughing about old memories. She laughed so hard she cried, and for a moment, I forgot why those tears had started months ago. As I was about to leave, she stopped me. I don't know where I'd be right now if it weren't for you, she said. I told her she did not have to thank me. She shook her head and said she was just telling the truth. Then she hugged me, long, quiet, no rush. I stood there holding her, realizing I was no longer just the guy who showed up in emergencies. I was something steady in her life. A few nights later, we were at my place, sitting on the couch with a movie playing that neither of us was watching. She muted the TV and looked at me. Really looked at me. "Can I ask you something?" she said. I put my phone down and nodded. "Did it hurt?" she asked. I did not understand at first. Then she explained. Liking her back then. Being the friend who stayed. Hearing about other guys. It caught me off guard. I thought we had left that part of the past untouched. "Yeah," I said honestly, "for a while." She nodded slowly. She said she knew, that she had known, and still let me stay in that place. that she had leaned on me without thinking about how unfair it was. I told her she did not use me, that I stayed because I wanted to. That was true. She looked down at her hands and said something that changed everything. "I didn't see you then," she said, "but I see you now." The room felt very quiet after that. She apologized. Not dramatically, just honestly. She said she was not asking for anything. She just needed me to know. I told her I never stopped seeing her. She leaned in and kissed me. It was not rushed, not desperate, just soft and intentional. When she pulled back, she looked nervous, like she was afraid I might regret it. I did not. We did not rush into anything after that. We stayed on the couch, her head on my shoulder, my hand holding hers. It felt calm. Right. From that point on, things shifted. We did not label it. We did not announce it. But we moved like something had settled between us. She started leaving things at my place. A toothbrush, socks, hair ties that appeared everywhere. Sometimes I would wake up and find her still asleep on my couch, sunlight on her face, and I would wonder how we had taken so long to get here. One afternoon, folding laundry together, she asked if I ever thought about what this would have been like if we had figured it out earlier. I told her maybe we were not ready then. She smiled and said maybe we were now. That night, she stayed over. Not because she was scared or hurting, just because she wanted to. And for the first time, it felt like we were building something new, not fixing something broken. That night did not feel dramatic. There was no big moment where everything suddenly made sense. We cooked together slowly, bumped into each other in the small kitchen, laughed when I almost burned the food. Later, we lay in bed side by side, not talking much, just listening to the quiet. It felt calm, safe, like we had finally stopped running. In the weeks that followed, life softened. Sophie still had hard days. Some mornings she sat on the edge of the bed holding her mom's necklace, eyes distant. Sometimes she woke up from dreams she did not want to explain. I never pushed. I just stayed. I learned when to talk and when to sit quietly beside her. She started therapy. Signed up for a couple night classes. Cooked again, badly, but proudly. I watched her slowly take her life back, one small decision at a time. And I stayed steady, not because I felt I owed her, but because I wanted to be there. One early morning, before the sun came up, I woke up and found her asleep on my chest. The apartment was quiet, except for the hum of the fridge and her breathing. I stared at the ceiling and felt something settle inside me. Not excitement, not fear, just peace. A few months later, she looked at me while we were folding laundry and said she thought she wanted to stay. Not visit, not sleep over, stay. So she did. We made room. Cleared a drawer. Bought a better mattress. Fixed the crooked curtain rod that had annoyed me for years. It was not romantic in a movie way, but it was real. We were building something quietly. 6 months after that, we were walking home from a late dinner at a cheap diner near the bus station. The air was cool. She had her hands tucked into the sleeves of my hoodie. I was talking about something pointless when she stopped walking. She looked at me and said, "I want to marry you." No build-up, no ring, just truth. I did not hesitate. I said yes. We got married the following spring. A small ceremony in her aunt's backyard. A few friends. Folding tables. Homemade cupcakes. She wore a simple white dress. I wore a shirt that barely fit right. She cried during her vows. I forgot half of mine and laughed through it. It was perfect. Years passed. We bought a small house with chipped paint and a lawn we forgot to mow. We had a daughter, then a son. Life stayed busy and imperfect. Bills piled up. Dinners burned. Kids got sick. We argued sometimes. But we never stopped choosing each other. Now I am older. My hair is gray. My back cracks every morning. I still cannot fold a fitted sheet. But on quiet nights when the kids are asleep and the house is finally still, I look at Sophie across the couch and think about that night. The night she called me. The night she opened the door in tears and said she had no one else. She was wrong. She had me. And she always did.